Marcus Wellington's leather shoes clicked against the marble floor of his penthouse as he surveyed his domain. Everything here belonged to him. The Italian furniture, the priceless paintings, even the people who maintained his perfect world. At 52, he'd built an empire through ruthlessness and an iron will that bent everyone around him to submission. Sarah Thompson moved quietly through the living room, her cleaning supplies clutched tightly in weathered hands. For 3 years, she'd worked in this gilded cage, enduring Marcus's cutting remarks and impossible standards. Every day brought new humiliation, but she needed this job desperately. Her daughter Lily's medical bills from last year's accident still haunted her dreams, and jobs that paid enough were scarce for a single mother without connections. Today started like any other until Marcus discovered a water ring on his mahogany desk. His face flushed crimson as he stormed into the hallway where Sarah was dusting. "You incompetent fool!" he roared, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. "Do you have any idea what that desk cost? More than you'll own in 10 years. Sarah's hands trembled as she tried to explain. "Sir, I cleaned that desk yesterday. Perhaps someone else." "Are you calling me a liar?" Marcus advanced toward her, his fists clenched at his sides. The veins in his neck pulsed visibly. "I'm surrounded by idiots who can't follow simple instructions." His hand rose high in the air, ready to strike her across the face. Sarah froze, unable to move or breathe. Time seemed to slow as his palm descended toward her cheek. She'd endured his verbal abuse for years, but this crossed a line she never imagined he'd dare approach. Then a small voice shattered the moment like glass. "Stop! Don't you hurt my mama." 7-year-old Lily burst through the service entrance, her school backpack still bouncing on her shoulders. Sarah had arranged for her daughter to wait in the staff lounge after school, but somehow Lily had found her way to this confrontation. The little girl's eyes blazed with protective fury that seemed impossibly large for such a small frame. Marcus's hand froze mid-swing, his expression shifting from rage to bewilderment. Nobody interrupted him. Nobody dared challenge his authority in his own home. Yet here stood this child, barely reaching his waist, glaring at him with absolute fearlessness. Her tiny fists were clenched, her chin thrust forward in defiance. "You move 1 more inch toward my mama, and I'll make you sorry," Lily declared, her voice steady despite her size. She positioned herself between Marcus and Sarah, spreading her arms wide as if she could physically shield her mother from danger. Marcus lowered his hand slowly, studying this peculiar child who showed no trace of intimidation. Most adults cowered before him, yet this little girl faced him down like a warrior protecting her kingdom. Something unfamiliar stirred in his chest. Was it shame? He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt that particular emotion. "Lily, sweetheart, go back to the lounge," Sarah pleaded, her voice thick with fear for her daughter. She knew Marcus's power, understood how easily he could destroy their lives with a single phone call. "Please, baby, this doesn't concern you." "Yes, it does." Lily's voice cracked slightly, revealing her youth, but her stance remained solid. "He was gonna hit you. I saw it. That's wrong, and everybody knows it's wrong, even rich people." Marcus found himself speechless. The child's words cut through his anger like a knife through silk. He looked at his raised hand as if seeing it for the first time, registering what he'd almost done, the silent stretch between them, heavy with tension. Marcus slowly lowered his hand to his side, his breathing still ragged from rage. Lily didn't move an inch, her protective stance unwavering as she watched him with eyes that seemed far too knowing for someone so young. "Do you know who I am?" Marcus finally asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "Do you understand what I could do to both of you?" "I know exactly who you are," Lily replied, surprising him again with her boldness. "You're the man who makes my mama cry at night. You're the reason she takes medicine for headaches every single day. You're the person she's afraid of, even though she's the bravest person I know." Each word landed like a physical blow. Marcus had never considered how his treatment of Sarah affected anyone beyond the moment of his anger. The idea that this woman went home and cried, that she suffered from stress he caused, had simply never entered his consciousness. People were tools in his world, not humans with feelings that extended beyond his presence. Sarah grabbed Lily's shoulders, trying to pull her away. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Wellington. She doesn't understand. We'll leave immediately. Please don't call the police or—" "Mama, no." Lily twisted free, her eyes now filling with tears but her voice remaining strong. We shouldn't have to be sorry. He should be sorry. My teacher says bullies are wrong, and that's what he is, a bully. Something cracked in Marcus's carefully constructed armor. This child's simple moral clarity struck a nerve buried deep beneath decades of calculated cruelty. When had he become the villain in someone's story? When had intimidation and abuse replaced leadership and respect? He thought back to his own childhood, remembering a father whose heavy hand had left scars invisible to the world. Your daughter has quite a mouth on her, Marcus said finally, but his voice lacked its earlier venom. Marcus walked to his leather chair and sat down heavily, suddenly feeling every one of his 52 years. He gestured toward the sofa across from him. Sit, he commanded, though his tone had softened considerably. When Sarah hesitated, he added, Please. They sat together, Lily still positioned protectively beside her mother, holding her hand tightly. Marcus studied them both, really looked at them for perhaps the first time. Sarah's eyes were red-rimmed from chronic stress, her shoulders permanently hunched as if expecting a blow. Lily, despite her bravery, trembled slightly now that the immediate danger had passed. Tell me something, Marcus began, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. What did you mean about medical bills? What accident? Sarah's eyes widened in surprise at the question. In 3 years, Marcus had never asked her anything personal. Last year, Lily was hit by a car while crossing the street. She spent 2 weeks in the hospital. The driver had no insurance, and mine barely covered anything. That's why I need this job so badly, despite how I treat you, Marcus finished for her. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. He'd known Sarah was a single mother, but he'd never bothered to learn more. She was hired help, nothing more, or so he'd told himself. Now her desperation made terrible sense. Lily spoke up again, her young voice cutting through his thoughts. Mama works 3 jobs. She cleans here during the day, does bookkeeping at night online, and cleans offices on weekends. I barely see her, but she says it's temporary until we catch up. That's been a year now. 3 jobs. The information struck Marcus like a thunderbolt. This woman he berated and belittled was working herself to exhaustion, juggling impossible responsibilities while he complained about water rings on furniture. His wealth could solve her problems in an instant, yet he'd never even considered that possibility. How much do you still owe? He asked. So, the medical bills. How much? $4,000 to $7,000, Sarah whispered, the number clearly painful to speak aloud. Marcus stood and walked to his desk, the same desk that had triggered his rage minutes ago. He opened a drawer and retrieved his checkbook, something he rarely used in the digital age. The scratch of his pen filled the silence as Sarah and Lily watched in confusion. He tore out the check and walked back to them, holding it out to Sarah. She took it with shaking hands, her eyes widening impossibly as she read the amount. $50,000. More than enough to clear her debts with money remaining for emergencies. I can't accept this, Sarah stammered, trying to hand it back. Sir, this is too much. I don't understand what. Keep it, Marcus interrupted firmly. Consider it payment for 3 years of abuse you should never have endured. Consider it an apology for the man I've become. He looked at Lily, who was watching him with cautious curiosity. Your daughter taught me something today that I should have learned long ago. She showed more courage in 2 minutes than I've shown in decades. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as a reality of what this meant sank in. Freedom from debt. Time with her daughter. Sleep without nightmares about collection agencies. But more than that, she saw something unexpected in Marcus's eyes, genuine remorse. Furthermore, Marcus continued, your salary is tripled, effective immediately, and you're no longer cleaning. I'm hiring additional staff for that. I need an estate manager, someone who understands hardship and treats people with dignity. Someone who can help me remember that the people who work here are human beings, not furniture. Over the following months, Marcus's household transformed. Staff members no longer flinched when he entered a room. He learned their names, their stories, their struggles. Sarah's management brought warmth to the cold marble halls, and occasionally Lily would visit, reminding him through her presence why kindness mattered more than control. The water ring never came out of his desk. Marcus kept it there intentionally, a permanent reminder of the day a 7-year-old girl's courage changed everything.